Silence. We fear it, we run from it, and yet it is one of the most powerful tools in human interaction. Imagine sitting across from someone at a negotiation table. You've asked for something important. You've laid out your case. And then silence fills the room. Seconds tick by. 1, 2, 3. Suddenly, you feel an urge inside you. Your heartbeat rises, the tension presses against your chest. And before you even realize it, you begin to talk again, explaining, justifying, filling the air with words you didn't plan to say. Congratulations, you've just been disarmed by silence. Most people underestimate the weight of silence. They think words are the weapon, that persuasion is all about what you say and how cleverly you phrase it. But, in truth, silence is often the sharpest blade in psychological strategy. It makes people uncomfortable, it creates pressure, and it forces the other person to reveal more than they intended. And here's the fascinating part. Science has proven this over and over again. In social psychology experiments, researchers found that when people were left with gaps of silence in conversation, their discomfort rose so quickly that they tried to resolve it by speaking again, often revealing information they hadn't planned to. This is known as the conversational gap effect. In fact, just 4 seconds of silence is enough to make most people feel awkward. 4 seconds! Think about that. If you can hold silence longer than your opponent, you gain the upper hand without saying a single word. Let's step into a real-world example. Picture a job interview. The interviewer asks, "Why do you think you're the best candidate for this position?" You answer confidently. You deliver your pitch. And then, instead of nodding and moving on, the interviewer simply stares at you in silence. What happens? Almost every candidate starts filling the silence, adding more details, sometimes even exposing weaknesses they would have never mentioned. They might say something like, "Well, I don't have much experience in this exact field, but I learn quickly." And there it is, a self-sabotaging admission triggered by nothing more than silence. The interviewer didn't ask, the candidate volunteered it. That is the power of silence. But this isn't just about interviews. Think of negotiations. Imagine you're trying to sell your car. The buyer asks your price. You say, $10,000. Then silence. The buyer doesn't respond. He just looks at you. Seconds pass. Suddenly you feel nervous and the thought enters your mind. Maybe I asked for too much. And before you even realize it, you break the silence. Of course, I could go down to $9,500. You've just lowered your price without the buyer saying a single word. He controlled you with silence. He made you negotiate against yourself. And here's where the science comes in again. Negotiation experts from Harvard's program on negotiation have long emphasized that silence creates psychological discomfort that people try to relieve by speaking. And in speaking, they often reveal their true position. If you stay quiet, they fill the void, and in filling it, they hand you the advantage. Let's make this even more personal. Silence isn't just a negotiation tactic, it's also a mirror. In arguments with loved ones, silence often makes people reflect more deeply than words ever could. Imagine you're in a heated argument. Voices are raised, insults are ready to fire, but instead of shooting back, you fall silent. You simply look at the other person and let the silence hang. Suddenly, their own words echo louder in their head than anything you could have said. They hear themselves, they see their own anger, and in many cases that silence does more to cool the fire than any counter-argument could. But silence is not easy. We are addicted to filling it. Our brains perceive silence as a threat because it feels like disconnection. That's why small talk exists. That's why we say meaningless things like, "So how's the weather?" We're terrified of the quiet. But those who master it, those who can sit in silence calmly while others squirm, carry an invisible aura of power. Now let me tell you a story. In 1962, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, US President John F. Kennedy faced Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev in one of the tensest negotiations in world history. Nuclear war was at stake. When messages were exchanged, Kennedy's advisors noticed something fascinating. After delivering a proposal, Kennedy would often hold back on immediate replies. Instead, he waited. He let silence stretch across hours. Khrushchev, uncomfortable with uncertainty, would send follow-up messages, sometimes softening his position. Kennedy didn't just use words to negotiate, he used silence. And historians now believe that his strategic pauses helped avoid catastrophic escalation. So what does this mean for you? How do you use silence in your daily life? Let's start small. Next time someone gives you a price, don't respond immediately. Nod. Stay quiet. Let them fill the gap. More often than not, they'll follow up with a discount or a justification. Or try this in casual conversation. When someone finishes a story, instead of instantly replying, pause. Stay silent. You'll be surprised how often they continue, adding more detail, revealing deeper thoughts. In arguments, use silence not as a weapon but as a mirror. Instead of reacting emotionally, let the silence sit. Often, the other person will de-escalate themselves. But here's the warning: silence is powerful, but it must be used wisely. Too much of it, and it turns into stonewalling, something destructive in relationships. The goal is not to punish people with silence, but to harness it as a tool of presence, reflection, and influence. The difference between manipulation and mastery lies in intention. Are you silent to dominate or to understand? The answer to that will determine whether your silence builds bridges or burns them. Now let's step into your future. Imagine you mastering this. Imagine you in a negotiation, calm, confident, unshaken by awkward gaps. Imagine people talking more, revealing more, simply because you knew the power of saying less. Imagine arguments cooling before they erupt because you've learned that silence sometimes screams louder than words. Imagine relationships deepening because you've given people the rare gift of true listening. That is what silence offers you, the ability to lead without force, to influence without manipulation, to win without fighting. So the next time you're tempted to fill the air with nervous chatter, remember this: words are silver, but silence is gold. Use it wisely, and you'll find doors opening in conversations, negotiations, and relationships that you never thought possible. Now it's your turn. I want you to try this today. In your next conversation, whether it's with a friend, a colleague, or even a stranger, hold silence just a little longer than you normally would. Watch what happens. Notice how they react. Notice how the power shifts. And when you see it, when you feel it, you'll understand that silence isn't emptiness. It's influence, it's strength, it's control. And once you master it, you'll never give it up. If this lesson resonated with you, don't just keep it in your mind, apply it. And if you're ready for more powerful psychological tools that can reshape how you talk, negotiate, and live, then keep following this channel, because silence is only the beginning. The real power lies in knowing when to speak and when to stop.